Coach, we'll get started with a few questions for you. As you enter your second season as head coach, what was the most important thing that you learned during your initial season?
Yeah, I think really there's two important lessons, one football specific, one more general. From the football standpoint, it's just the nature of going from a coordinator to a head coach as opposed to overseeing one specific unit. You now oversee everything involved in a football program. And on the field, special teams, defense, offense. So the lessons learned from that are what I learned from the football standpoint. But from the general standpoint, just the amazing platform we have as coaches. These last couple years, before coming to Grove City and being here, I've been on the absolute extremes of winning and losing. And that's something I thought about this past season. And what I learned is, no matter what happens on a Saturday, when you stand in front of your team on Monday, and you got the attention of every eye looking at you, that you have the opportunity to speak truth into their life and impact, tell them, look, what happened Saturday, take that and here's how you use it in your walk with the Lord. Here's how you use that in your relationships. Here's how you use that to land a job interview. And we had guys do that this year. And as I look at these guys, I sat here as a player on media day. How many people have sat in these seats since then? I look out, I see a lot of different faces from when I sat up here, a few of the same ones, but a lot of different faces out here. I love this stuff, but it comes and goes. But one thing I will not take lightly that I saw in my first year as head coach is the opportunity to impact young lives for the rest of their life, but ultimately for eternity, and that's probably the biggest thing I took.
Last spring, you had greater involvement on the defensive side of the ball and with special teams. What was that like for you, and how do you feel about those areas entering the 2017 season?
Yeah, Jake knows we talk all the time about extreme ownership, and we talk in 4-second phrases so our young men remember what we're talking about. And one of those is don't make excuses, don't complain, extreme ownership. And 2 days before spring practice started, one of our coaches went in for surgery, and unfortunately we missed him for all of spring. So the opportunity to be more hands-on on the special teams unit and more hands-on on the defensive unit arose, and something that I embraced, I had a lot of fun with. And one thing I love is to know how everything fits together. If we're running something, not just me, I want Jake to be able to say, Coach, defensively, everything we're doing, here's how it all fits together. And what I'm really excited about is heading into year 2, offense, defense, and special teams, we all have a similar structure in which we install what we do and how we understand what we do, so any young man in our program can sit in front of me and should be able to explain each phase how everything fits together. So having that opportunity to go to defense and special teams gave me more hands-on with that process, and I'm excited to see the effects of that this fall.
Since taking over as head coach, you've implemented a brick-by-brick mindset in program philosophy. How are the efforts of that starting to pay off?
Yeah, one thing I never want to see is a young man live in their circumstance. And what I mean by that is to see not just a young man, any of us, to let what's going on around us dictate how we feel, dictate how we treat others. So when we look at that, brick by brick is a way for our young men to live outside of their circumstances. So when we say brick by brick, you walk on our campus, it's brick buildings, everything you see. So our young men know that those buildings started with a blueprint. Somebody had a vision for what that building would be, and our vision is to glorify God in the pursuit of earning a degree, building lasting relationships, and competing for PAC championships. And it's a very bold vision, but that's why the second part of that is those buildings came to be one brick at a time. And that's what we charge our men with. Every day, you got to lay one brick closer to get this program closer to its ultimate expectation. And I look at our seniors last year, completely changed the way we approach strength and conditioning. They laid a very important brick, one that nobody sees yet, but we know as a program we do. The way we practice, change the way we approach and look at practice. So that process of laying one brick at a time, and then all of those buildings are held together with mortar, and mortar represents the love. Our seniors, Jake knows what the previous seniors have done. Those guys know what the many alumni have done, what Coach Smith, my mentor, did for me, and we build on one another. So brick by brick has allowed us to live outside of our circumstances, to live focused on our vision, embracing the process, and appreciating the love of those around us. And I've been excited to see the effects that had on our men.
Coach, last question. What does Jake mean to the defense and to the Grove City football program in general?
Yeah, I mentioned our vision statement there, and there's 4 components to that: spiritual, social, mental, and physical. And every May, I put a cap and gown on because I'm faculty as well, and I get to watch every one of our young men walk across the stage and shake President McNulty's hand. And they would have earned the degree if they're doing that. Secondly, socially, I tell our guys all the time, the men I stood on those grounds with the cap and gown when I was a senior, a group of them were the same men who stood there with me 2 years later on my wedding day to build those relationships. And physically, to lay bricks, to build this program one step closer to its ultimate goal, and to do it all in a way that glorifies God. Now, this upcoming May, when I watch Jake walk across the stage, I'm going to be looking at a young man who would have earned his degree. I'll be looking at a young man socially that was the unanimous vote by his peers to be our captain, more votes than anybody else. So socially, he's obviously invested in relationships. Physically, the unanimous vote for defensive MVP last year and our Junior of the Year award, so he's getting it done physically. And spiritually, he spent his whole spring break taking a group of underclassmen to go serve on a mission trip. So when I look at our vision statement, I just look to the man next to me to see what that's all about.
Coach, thank you. Jake, a couple questions for you. As Coach just mentioned, tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to be chosen as a team co-captain for the 2017 season.
It was a huge honor. I've put in a lot of work throughout the past 4 years that I've been there, and there's a lot of high quality teammates and a lot of good quality friends, and it meant a lot to me that they all voted and selected me to be one of their captains this year.
As you get ready to enter your senior season, have you done anything differently from a preparation standpoint?
Physically, it's been pretty similar to past years. We have a really good off-season lifting program that we all follow. For me, what's been biggest is mentally, knowing that I'm coming in as a captain and people are going to be looking up to me. I've just been preparing, being ready for the leadership aspect.
Talk a little bit about what it's like playing for Coach DiDonato and playing for someone who has such an experience like he does at Grove City College.
It's really cool because knowing that your head coach has been there and done it, was very successful there. It's a real blessing knowing that he loves the school as much as you do, and he's as passionate about Grove City as you are. And especially with the vision that we've set down, everybody's really bought into it. So it's just a real blessing having Coach Dito there and knowing that he loves us and cares about us and wants the best for us.
Jake, final question for you. Can you discuss any individual goals you've set for the 2017 season? Now, we know nobody likes to talk individually, but maybe something that you have.
It's just the stereotypical, I don't really think about it that much, but I'd like to see, some more sacks, but it's really just whatever helps out the team and helps us get to where we want to be.
Great. Thank you, guys. Grove City will get its season underway on September 2nd at Juniata College.